Okay, today we're going to just look at some of my trees, mostly updates, maybe work. This one I'm going to work on just a little bit. I'm just going to trim a few things out. This is my Willow leaf ficus. As you can see, it has really bursted out over the summer, so I'm not going to do a lot just because, as I had said in previous videos, this tree got hit by scale insects at the end of the winter, and was not doing so great when I brought it out in the spring, but it's bounced back, and I just don't want to take much from it yet to which we'll go. But I do want to take out some, and it looks like what I did worked great, where I had clipped all I had done before. The last time we showed this tree, I had clipped out, like I'm doing today, I clipped out what I didn't want, but I'm not going to do what I did last time where I clipped off all the growing tips. And I did it last time just to help get it to put out more stuff than it has. Today we're just going to take out some stuff that I don't want. Like this branch here. This is that area where I cut the original top off, and it just keeps growing out new branches all the time. This one we don't need because it's just growing in the inside. It's not going to do anything. It's not in a good place. This one we don't need because it's growing right out next to this other branch. So that. There's two here. They're like the first one I cut off. They're just three there actually. They're in the wrong place. We don't need them. So I'll remove them. And then there are a couple over here too. Because really all I want in this area is this which is, I'm considering the extension of the trunk, and then these two branches here, and that's it. Now this is finally, this one's always been a problem. It hadn't grown, it hadn't which one? And you got to keep in mind, this thing is, when I accidentally planted it, I wasn't paying attention to the angle, and it is a little off to the side. I want it more this way, but I'm not really worried about it that much because it got replanted in this deeper so I could grow a new higher roots, so I can get rid of this big bulbous part of the root system on the end that needs to come off, but most of the roots are on there, so I couldn't remove it, so I can fit this into a smaller pot, because without that top, this pot's too big. Although I didn't like this. I thought the big pot was a little too big even with the top, so my opinion. Okay, let's see if is there anything else we don't need here. This branch here is in the wrong place. Don't need that one. No, let's just throw them down. And keep these. I'll keep that for now. That might go by later. I think I'm going to do some wiring on this and wire this down a little bit. So we separate this and this. So let's get a piece of wire and we'll do that. What I'll do is I'll wire these two branches. I might even bring this down, move this a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll wire these two branches up. Again, I don't want to do a lot of work on this just because, like I said, it had a bad end of the winter last year. We're coming up on bringing it in. That always, this tree always tends to lose some leaves. It slows down when you bring it in. So I don't want to, seeing, like I said, seeing it had a bad end of the winter last year, I don't want to, I just want to let it be for the rest of this growing season. Or I may do a little, would have done a little bit. What I'll do is at a later date we will do a more selective pruning. But sometimes you gotta just hold off on stuff if the tree wasn't doing good at a certain time. So now put this down here. I actually bring this branch back a little bit. Yeah. You got to think we're gonna trim this a little bit, so that space I want is not. This branch will go now that I caught under the wire. And you know, this will be cleaned out at some point. Take this out right now. I'm going on the bottom end. So now we're pretty much getting what I wanted on this tree is some pads. We got this big pad up here. We got a pad here, a pad here, a pad here, and a pad here starting. This one's in great shape. I mean, it'll need some more ramification, thinning out, but it's in good shape. So let me just go through and see if there's anything I want to remove. I do want to remove, I don't know if you can see it, there's a branch here, there's a branch here, and then there's a branch in the middle of them. I'm going to take that out because I don't think it lends anything. And as you can see, it doesn't really even affect the canopy much. So I'm just going to take out a few of these inside branches. And some inside branches we don't need. Like I said, just going through this really quickly to kind of get some of this. Some of the branches I really don't want out. That is kind of too low. That's going up into the other thing. Now this one's growing, these two are growing under what we've done. Same here, but this one might go later, but I'll just leave it for now. Another branch going underneath. Inside out. This is not bad. This is on the inside. We don't need. Take this inside branch out. This, I don't need this. In a way. Yeah, that's about it. I think I'll get rid of this one here. And as you see, it's still pretty full, but I've thinned it out a little bit, which will also help get light inside of it better, especially when it goes inside and the light's lower under my lights. It'll get less, parts of it will get less light. Well, it'll all get less light. Okay. So that's it for that one. Here's my skyflower again. I showed you the video of pruning it, I think. If I didn't, there will be one, but I think I did. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I already showed the video. There might be a couple in trees in here that I haven't showed videos yet of the last work. So there is the rose petal in there. But you can see, bounced right back again. I mean, this thing, as I said, this tree does not seem to skip a beat. You can work on it and it doesn't care. It just keeps growing. As you can see, it's just like, it's just way out there. I mean, you can see, since I redid it, that's from about there up, all the way up. That is all new growth. I think maybe a month and a half I did this, maybe. Month and a half. Yeah, a month and a half, 2 months. But I mean, this thing just like shoots out again. This is another one of those trees that it's not, it's more for fun than anything, because it's never going to make that really great bonsai. It's not extremely great bonsai material. The leaves are just not right for it. As of yet, I don't think it does much back budding, so that's a negative for this tree. I have yet to have much back budding on it. Trying to see if that might have been a back. I think that back budded, and that might be it. And maybe one here has back bud, but that's about it. This doesn't back bud really well. And if you remember seeing the last one, I cut this back quite a bit. And these aren't even back buds from now. That's an old back bud, and I think that's an old back bud too. But yeah, I like the shape of this. I bought this tree mainly because I really like the trunk of it, and I'm really liking this better as I've wired it a little more. This was sitting back and over more, so I brought it up and over and a little more towards the viewer, so this side would have that coming towards you, something coming towards you, because I mean, this side does a lot, but I don't like this side. I like this side better. So there's the skyflower. Okay, this is the Cotoneaster. As you can see, it's elongated. All the things have elongated. It's growing really great. The one thing that did happen was I had kept the piece here, thinking maybe it was something that could be taken off the thing when I redid it. I just kept it for the hell of it. If it had its own roots, I could have made another bonsai out of it, but it just died off. I don't know why. Within I think 2 weeks, it was just looking really bad, and I think within the month, it was dead, and I cut it off. no idea why that happened. The rest of the trees, the rest of the plant is fine. That just died off. I will show you the rest of this in a minute. I think I'm just going to leave this until I think I'm going to leave this until the spring. I'm going to cut it back in the spring. I don't really, I don't know, I just want to let it grow the rest of the summer. The rest of the grow, I probably got a good 3 weeks probably left. Good growing weather. Usually the trees start going dormant in October around here. Beginning to mid-October they start going dormant, and by the end of October all the deciduous trees will pretty much have no leaves on them, probably. And then I will start, maybe by the end of it. Sometimes we don't, but it depends. It depends on the weather. I know last year they held on into November, a lot of the leaves on the deciduous. But yeah, I'm just going to leave this grow the rest of the summer, and I'll worry about it next spring. And we'll cut stuff and start working on ramification, because it really doesn't have much ramification. This is grown out. You know what? I'm going to get rid of that, because I don't need that. That's just kind of like a sucker came out. Don't need that. Other than that, I think, and this. I don't need this. This is kind of just adding to a little bit of swelling on the cascade part. So we don't need that. And then it forks out here, and then this comes up and forks out into two. So that looks pretty good. But yeah, I'm as you can see, the wiring held, the shape of the cascade held pretty well. Sure, I'll have to wire it up from time to time because they tend to go out a little bit over time. It takes a while for you to really get a good set on a branch. Okay, so there's that. Okay, this one I'm a little sad about. This is the Jack and Hillyer elm. That the last time I pruned it, it didn't quite do as well as the first time. The last time I had done it. It is, I don't know. I don't know if it'll survive the winter. If it survives the winter, we might be all right, but it's not looking the greatest. Its vigor is just way down. It's trying to put out leaves, and I think it's trying to bounce back, but I question if it'll have enough energy to make it through the winter. We'll find out. Sad. This is a good tree. I don't know why it didn't respond well to the pruning this time. I mean, I pruned it because it exploded again into tons of stuff and just needed thing. And this has been at least a month, and it's alive, but it's not really vigorous. So we'll see how that one goes. Okay, this is my Suzuki Azalea, which bursted out where it's bursted out, but sadly cut it back and nothing came out on these. Nothing came out on this end. All the stuff came out on this branch and here, and then this got the original one got broken off, and now it's this little one. So Whether this one will survive the winter, I don't know. But that's what I got to work with. I'll have to clean these up later, and this is what I got to work with. The trouble with these is you can't bend them too much. Azaleas are very brittle. They will break it very easily, and especially when they're young. When they've hardened up a little bit, they're a little more tough, but the small branches are very weak. So there's what I have so far for that. We'll see what we get out of that. Okay, these are Dawn Redwoods. I don't know if I've showed these. I don't think I've showed these yet. These I bought as a 3, not a lot. I bought them, there were 3-pack, but they came in these. I've seen them before. The nurseries sometimes. Nurseries that grow a lot of trees use them. They're just these like long tube like. I don't really call them pots, but they're just like long tube. I couldn't do anything with them because they would just have been on the side. So I repotted these out of season just to get them into something. And I wanted to make them into a, as you can see, a group planting. And I wanted them really close, so when they thicken up, they'll be even closer. So that's what that one's doing. And then this is the one I bought earlier in the summer. It's doing well. I cut it off here because it had a funky top. I didn't like it. This is growing out nicely. I don't know if I'm going to keep this, make it maybe a double trunk. Might look good. The only thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to clean this cut up. So peel over there. Yeah, that'll peel over. Better now, and I'll put some. Okay, this is my cascading Chinese elm. This will have to be, I'll do it off camera, but this will have to be wired down again to be a semi-cascade, because right now it's not a cascade because it doesn't come down below the base of the tree, the pot. That's not a big deal, it grows. You can see it's just grown out. Probably should trim this stuff back some, maybe. I don't know. I think I'll just leave it for now. I mean, I could do a trim some other time. I'm not that concerned about it for the winter. It's not taking up any more room. This is what's taking up the most room. I'm just going to leave this for now and then chop it back to start developing properly. We don't want branches up this high. I've just let this grow to thicken this up and thicken the base up. But I'll put a picture in of what this looked like early in the year. This was just a little tiny, this is just a little tiny sprout before I brought it out for the summer. I'll put a picture in there, and I'll put a picture in and show you how much this has grown since then. So this is the grafted curvy one. So this is going to be the front. These are the two grafted branches, this one here and this one here. And the branches are doing great. I've had no failure of the branches. The one looks like it's thickening up better than the other one. This one's thickening up better than this one, so can't do much about that. That's the way it goes. This probably should be eventually wired down at some point before it can't be wired down here at the base. It's getting thick. This is doing really great. This is thickening up nicely. The top is nice and stunted like I wanted it right now because we don't want to develop the top at this moment. These will go eventually once those hopefully work, hopefully. This will go to this one here, and this one are the ones that are feeding the thread crafts. Yeah, I'll probably throw some wire on this one too before I put it back on the bench, bring it down, and maybe I'll cut it out. But it should be wired down before I can't wire this, because we don't want it pointing up that far back. So, okay, there's that. Okay, here is the Chinese elm that I bought this summer. It was like a sprout coming out of the ground off of a root system of a dead tree, and I was wondering if it would do all right. I removed it like a few days after I got it, because I wanted to hasten I didn't pay much for it, and I wanted to hasten the new roots for it, so it wouldn't keep using the old roots that I'd have to remove eventually, and it wouldn't maybe promote new roots for it as much, so I just took the chance. It's done just fine. I mean, this is like, these ends are, well, like, I mean, he's got good 8-9 inches on them at least. The top's grown quite a bit. Just gonna leave it again. I'm gonna cut off a couple of dead branches just to get rid of them. But other than that, I'm gonna leave it. The neat thing is, I also have, when I clipped it before, I'm going to clean this up too. Cut off the top, which is probably where I got the cutting. But I also got a cutting off of this that made it, and I'm sure it has roots because, I mean, it's put out almost as much height and growth. I mean, it put out good 7-8 inches its own. So hopefully that'll survive, and I'll have yet another Chinese maple like this one. So we'll have that maybe. There's another spot in that too. But this, I want this to be. I haven't really styled it yet. Don't know what I'm going to do. It needs thickening up some, but I want a more like natural approach to this than the more. What would you say? Constructed bonsai look. You know, bonsai. The traditional bonsai look is not completely natural. You know, it's art. You know, you're using artistic license to interpret. You know, an artistic interpretation of a tree. You know, I would say. You know, they're not traditional bonsai. Do not look exactly like a natural tree out in the wild, but I want this to look more like a natural tree, so that's where we're going to go on this one. And it's going to pretty much have, this one's going to have, you know, it's got a straight trunk pretty much. I mean, I could probably put some of a bend in it if I want. I might, but there's no going extreme on this one. This one's got too much. It's pliable to a point, but not. It's not going to. I mean, maybe if you raffied it, you know, put raffia on it, you could probably bend it more, but it's still got its limits. It's, you know, as thick as it is. And our last one is the Sarissa I bought. That was, you know, it was a real extreme mess. I didn't want that one, but I liked this tree, so I just bought it. I mean, it was already worked. I paid a little more than I would have if it hadn't been, you know, they charged a little bit extra, probably a couple more dollars than there was ones that weren't done, but I liked this one the best, so So I paid a couple extra dollars for this one. That was, like I said, it was curvy already, but I just took it off. Yeah, it's grown out nicely. We'll just, I think this is another one I have to bring in. I think Sarissa. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sarissa won't survive. Gotta double check that, but yeah, I do kind of gotta double check that before I'm pretty sure Sarissa doesn't. It's like a semi-tropical tree, so it won't survive. It's a lot like an elm. Chinese elm won't really survive, especially in a pot in my thing. So that's got to come in. I wanted a Sarissa, so this I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm not doing anything now with it because it needs to bulk up some, and so I'll just let it grow. I'll probably trim it sometime next year, but and I'm thinking I'm gonna repot it in the spring, put it in a bigger pot. I could use more this tiny pot. We're not gonna get a ton of growth. We're not gonna get a ton of thickening up in this pot. We need a bigger pot. Okay, here is the yew that I collected in the spring. It is still alive. I did lose a lot of stuff, but as I had said when I had talked about this before, a lot of the stuff that died off was stuff that wasn't doing so great when I collected it. So, only thing I've removed is this big branch that I wasn't going to use for anything, so I just removed it instead of letting the vigor. The vigor was in. There was more vigor in this branch than the rest, so I figured if I left this on, I would just have a lot of vigor, and the rest of it might die anyways, and I would be left with what I didn't want anyways. So I took the chance in the spring and cut that off. These did put out, all of this growth that's still left is really dark green, so that's a good sign. And it all put out new. At one point, they had all put out a little new shoots. Not a lot. And I kind of wouldn't expect it to, just because it wasn't in the greatest shape to start with. I dug it up. I removed all the dirt, planted it. So if it makes it through the winter, we should be good. We have this branch totally alive. There's nothing. Maybe a couple twigs that are dead, but in the tips. And then we have on this branch, we have some stuff that's still alive. We have a branch here. We have a branch here. And most of this branch is dead. It's just this piece here. The rest of it is dead. Not that I'm a big deal with that, because I didn't want a lot of this, at least alive. I may use some of this as gins. Well, I'm going to use some of this as gins. Some of the dead stuff as gins. And I think this may be the main part that I use for living. I may keep some of that that's living if it survives, but this is what I'm hoping on. This is what I'm going to develop, I think, into the new tree, and then have this stuff as, some of this stuff is just dead, like the tree had a hard life, and a lot of it died off, and then a new piece came up. So that is the collected yew. It still lives. So we'll see how that makes it through the winter. And that is all I have for. That's all I'm going to do for updates now. So if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, hit the bell, comment, and I will see you next time.